I'm going to be honest with you all. I originally had no plans of wanting to talk about this film. I had no notes, no plans, no ideas. This was just something I wanted to talk about just out of the blue. Why? For some reason, some of the songs from this film has just been stuck in my fucking head, and I've just been listening to on repeat. Why? Because some of the songs in this movie are actually not that bad. Because, if not most of all the songs, good vocals, nice arrangement, catchy little tunes. But a lot of these tracks are about fucking! And teen youth. Having those hormones raising, especially when you're a senior in high school and all that other stuff, especially during the 1960s. But a lot of the songs are about fucking. Score the nights, the bowling scene, where they're all gathering around, having a little jive about bowling and everything. But that song's about fucking. You're sitting on a bomb that's ready to explode. Reproduction, we all know what that's about. Do it for our country. Sure, that's supposed to be a very patriotic track, but when you listen to it carefully, there you go. Prowling, it's about wanting to get laid. I got a very fucking dirty mind, goddammit. But Grease 2, why does this movie even exist? Well, the answer is, I have no fucking clue. We all know Grease, John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John. Everybody knows that timeless little gem. Bunch of 30-year-olds dancing in the gym, having a good old time listening to Sha Na Na, Born to Hand Jive. Not really much of a story for that film except trying to get a couple back together. This case, 1961. It's no longer 1955 or 58 or whatever the year it is. It's 1961. Still in the 50s realm a little bit, but not necessarily, because it's the beginning of a new millennium, which is the 60s. And we know later on, when Beatlemania came about, all hell broke loose musically. And in a good way. Because instead of having nice hairs or greases, everybody was becoming a fucking mop top. Then later on, after Beatlemania in the mid-60s, we later on ended up getting fucking Woodstock. We had Cream, Jimi Hendrix, The Animals, The Kinks, The Doors, artists and groups like that. Janis Joplin. So music in the 60s has evolved for the better. Because a lot of influential artists have came out throughout that particular time frame. But 1961, it was still in that realm of the 1950s. But it's just a new decade. So as for Grease 2, why does this movie exist? Like I said, I have no fucking clue whatsoever. As for what the story is, necessarily there isn't one, except there's a guy who comes all the way from England named Michael Carrington, who falls in love with a girl named Stephanie Zioni, who is a member of the Pink Ladies, if not the newest member of the Pink Ladies, who was played by Michelle Pfeiffer. And she ended up having herself a very nice career later on, because after she did this film, she ended up playing in Scarface, and later on she ends up playing in Batman Returns, just to name two films. As for who these other people are, this is the person who played Michael in this film. I don't remember who the guy's name was, especially who the other folks were, except for Christopher McDonald, who later played in films like Requiem for a Dream, The Iron Giant, did a little voicing for that, and Thelma and Louise. So he had himself a nice little prominence in films later on, just to name a couple, despite they did a couple Happy Madison pictures. But for this particular movie, Michael sees Stephanie. He wants to get to know her, he wants to fall in love with her, but Stephanie rejects him because he's too nice, he's too clean cut, he's a fucking brainiac, he's a straight A student. But she wants somebody who's a cool rider, a biker with attitude and pizzazz and fucking balls. Hence one of the names, Cool Rider, of the tracks, which was a very rockin' song. So, that's technically the story about the film. Now, as for what I can say about it, I'm going to separate two things. I'm going to separate the musical aspect with the choreography and the story element. Now, with the songs and the choreography, I always give credit where credit is due. I always give everybody that fucking recognition for all the rehearsals they do, whether if it's in a particular scene like the bowling alley or a school, just practicing all those dance moves, trying to make it look good. A lot of the dancing in this film was just a little bit too hokey for me, because there was a lot of characters that were obviously reused quite a bit in the film that really held no merit except just to be fill-ins and be there for that fucking musical element. So, the songs itself, obviously the vocals are not bad. The songs are catchy little tracks, but a lot of the songs are all about fucking. Except for a track named Brad, who was sang by a couple twins, who obviously they are obsessed with this guy because he's good looking, handsome, rich, and I'm sure that he's very narcissistic and full of himself. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's one of those guys, if Brad gets fucking smacked in the face. And you also have Charades, which is a song that was sung by Michael, which I think to be very fucking meaningless. Girl for All Seasons, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, which I am a fan of that group. But Girl for All Seasons, nice little song. We'll Be Together. I mean, I think of Richie Valens' We Belong Together. But We'll Be Together, out of all of them, besides Problem, which I think is a very catchy tune. Hell, the fucking dudes from Grease 2 ended up being on the Golden Disc. Well, I can't remember the name of the one show, but they ended up having a performance singing fucking Problem, or doing a lipping to it, which was very shocking. But We'll Be Together is a nice little song to end the film. So, separating from the entire elements of the choreography and the musical numbers and the songs itself, I'll give it a somewhat of a little pass. Story element, I don't care. I don't care. I always saw Grease. That one was fun because they had personalities that you cared about. In this film, besides Michelle Pfeiffer and Christopher McDonald, who was a supporting role, I mean, the fucking T-Birds, they were badasses in Grease. This one, there's just villains. Now, as for the Pink Ladies, same thing. Instead of having that whole... I mean, the Pink Ladies in Grease were supporting actresses, but in this one, the other members are supporting actresses too. And the thing is that the film dives more into a code of conduct that they have, where if you are a T-Bird and you're a Pink Lady, you have no choice but to date until graduation. That rule didn't exist in the first fucking movie. I thought it was just a whole gang thing where you were part of a group that you're representing of your high school from back then. I didn't know there was a fucking code of conduct that they had to follow. Excuse me for not knowing! But anyways, the story, I just don't care. I just couldn't care or get into it. But once the musical numbers came, that's where I was interested, and that's that. One of the songs that I honestly didn't really care for, that I thought was meaningless, is the fact that you had the bikers, the other bikers, the Scorpions. You gave them a fucking chance to sing. Cringe. Complete cringe. Otherwise, this movie was just fucking pointless. This is one of those sequels to where it's just not a good goddamn story whatsoever. Not a good story at all. The songs are not bad, but the story is just not good. Michelle Pfeiffer had a good career for herself later on. Most attracting, appealing person in the entire movie. I mean, the boy, fucking Michael, if I'm talking about the kid itself, if he was a real person, Michael Carrington, if he was a real person, he probably could have had a career in the film world if he was a real person, because he was a good-looking kid in the film. It's just his character to me was just not really that important. Along with the T-Birds and the fucking other Pink Ladies, it was just all meaningless to me. I had no idea who these other people were. So overall, as for what I gave Grease to, I gave it a 1.5 out of 5. The only thing watchable was the fucking songs for me. And Prowlin' being the best song out of them all. So, that's going to have to do it for my little talk on Grease 2. Meaningless fucking film that I don't know why it exists, but it does. I saw it. I lost interest except for the musical numbers, and that was it. So, folks, that's going to do it for my little talk on Grease 2. Let me know down below your thoughts about this movie, and as always, ciao for now.